अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि व कफ़ा व सलामुन अला इबादिहि लज़ीना इस्तफ़ा अम्मा बअद। अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। फ़ज़्कुरूनी अज़्कुरकुम वश्कुरूली वला तकफ़ुरून। सुब्हान रब्बिका रब्बिल इज़्ज़ति अम्मा यसिफ़ून व सलामुन अलल मुरसलीन वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक वसल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक वसल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक वसल्लिम। अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त के पाक और प्यारे नाम के साथ आज की इस मजलिस का आगाज़ करते हैं। अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त का लाख लाख करम और एहसान की जिसने तौफीक दी कि महज उसकी याद के लिए हमें यहाँ पे जमा किया। उस ज़ात से दुआ है कि अल्लाह ताला हमें मोहब्बत के साथ, इखलास के साथ उसका ज़िक्र करने की तौफीक नसीब फरमाए और हमारी ज़िंदगी के तब्दील होने और अल्लाह ताला का मुकर्रब बंदा बनने का ज़रिया बन जाए। इंशाअल्लाह ताला हर दफ़ा की तरह एक ही इल्तिजा है कि जो घंटा लेकर आए हैं हमतन अल्लाह की तरफ मुतवज्जो हो जाइए। आपकी तवज्जो आपके कल्ब की तरफ, कल्ब की तवज्जो अल्लाह की तरफ हो और बहुत ही मोहब्बत में डूब कर अल्लाह का ज़िक्र कीजिए। इंशाअल्लाह ताला हम इब्तिदा जो है ख़त्मात ख़ाज़िगान से करेंगे। याजिज़ जो है ऊंची आवाज़ में एक दो मरतबा कुछ सूरतें, कुछ आयात, कुछ दुआएं पढ़ेगा। आप आहिस्ता आहिस्ता पीछे पीछे उनके मानी को मजबूत रखते हुए पीछे पीछे पढ़िए इंशाअल्लाह। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। अस्तगफिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु इलैहि। अस्तगफिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु। अस्तगफिरुल्लाह। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक वसल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर रहीम मालिकि यौमिद्दीन। इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन। इहदिनस सिरातल मुस्तकीम सिरातल लज़ीना अनअमता अलैहिम गैरिल मग़दूबि अलैहिम वलद्दाल्लीन। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक वसल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। अलम नशरह लक सदरक व वदअना अन्का विज़रक अल्लज़ी अनक़ज़ ज़हरक व रफ़अना लक ज़िक्रक फ़इन्न मअल उसरि युस्रन इन्न मअल उसरि युस्रा फ़इज़ा फ़रग़त फ़ंصब व इला रब्बिक फ़रग़ब। بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات اللهم يا كافي المهمات يا كافي المهمات يا كافي. اللهم يا دافع البليات يا دافع البليات يا دافع. اللهم يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض. اللهم يا رافع الدرجات يا رافع الدرجات يا رافع الدرجات. اللهم يا مجيب الدعوات يا مجيب الدعوات يا مجيب الدعوات. اللهم يا مسبب الأسباب يا مسبب الأسباب يا مسبب الأسباب يا مسبب الأسباب. اللهم يا حل المشكلات يا حل المشكلات يا حل المشكلات. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين 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 يا أرحم الراحمين. برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. या अल्लाह करीम, जो कुछ पढ़ा गया इसका सवाब अपने फजल अपने करम के साथ तमाम अंबिया कराम और मुरसलीन की खिदमत में हदीयतन पहुँचा दीजिए। बिलखुसूस हमारे आका हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की खिदमत में या अल्लाह करीम तमाम सहाबा कराम रिज़वानुल्लाहि अजमईन, उम्महातुल मोमिनीन, अहले बैत, अशरा मुबश्शरा खुलफाए राशिदीन, बिलखुसूस हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रज़ियल्लाहु तआला अन्हु की खिदमत में तमाम सिद्दीक़ीन, शुहदा, सालिहीन, उलमा व मशाइख़ अहले सुन्नत व जमात, या अल्लाह तमाम मुमिनीन, मुमिनात, मुस्लिमीन, मुस्लिमात की अरवाह को अल्लाह इसका सवाब पहुँचा दीजिए। आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। हस्बुनल्लाहु व निअमल वकील। हस्बुनल्लाह। हस्बुनल्लाह। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। या खफिय्यल लुत्फ़ि अदरिकनी बिलुत्फ़िकल खफ़ी। या खफिय्यल लुत्फ़ि अदरिकनी। या खफिय्यल लुत्फ़ि अदरिकनी बिलुत्फ़िकल। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। या बाक़ी अंतल बाक़ी। या बाक़ी अंतल बाक़ी। या बाक़ी। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। ला हौला वला कुव्वता इल्ला बिल्लाह। ला हौला वला ला हौला। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। ला इलाहा इल्ला अंता सुब्हानका इन्नी कुन्तु मिनज़ ज़ालिमीन। ला इलाहा इल्ला अंता सुब्हानका। ला इलाहा इल्ला। اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين. والله ذو اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. إنا لله إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا. اللهم صل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا. الله ولي الذين آمنوا. الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والله ولي المؤمنين. والله. والله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. إلا الله. إلا الله. لا إله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله خدا بندہ مقصود من تبی ورضایتی میرا محبت و معرفت ذوق شوق الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Inshallah ta'ala, with the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will continue our discourse on the topic of spiritual ailments, spiritual diseases that a person might suffer from. This is especially relevant for salikin of a tariq, of any tariq, because these are the pitfalls, these are the hindrances. This is a wall between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we all have to overcome. And so the last time we mentioned the concept of nifaq, hypocrisy, and the concept of dhul wajhain, of being two-faced, and the different types of nifaq that a person can suffer from. Usually the type that we have to worry about is the nifaq of amal, where in our heart we have iman, but sometimes we lack the himma to bring it into action. We say one thing, but in our heart there's something else. So there is a bridge that needs to be gapped between our zahir and the batin. And when a person does that, that person is known as Siddiq, and Siddiqiyat is the highest form of wilayat that we can hope to achieve. That there is no difference between our batin, what we feel in our hearts, and our words and our actions. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we will move forward and we will touch base a little bit on the topic of love of dunya, hubb dunya. This is a topic that we covered briefly when we were talking about zuhud. Does anybody remember what zuhud is? People who. So it's a detachment and a disconnect from the dunya. Zuhud does not mean that we leave the dunya because we cannot leave the dunya. Zuhud also does not mean that what is necessary when what is a necessity that we leave that. It means that whatever is in excess, we try to shun that. It means that we endeavor that this dunya does not find its way into our hearts. That is what hubb dunya is. So the opposite of hubb dunya is zuhud, which we covered. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we will touch base briefly on this concept of hubb dunya. So as we mentioned that we can think of dunya and we can define dunya anything that distracts us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is probably the best definition that we can come up with. It's not necessarily having some material accumulation. It is that when those material accumulations distract us from Allah ta'ala, that is when it becomes dunya. So as a Muslim, as an asalik, we endeavor to make sure that it does not bother us as much. There's a poetic verse in Urdu, दुनिया में हूँ दुनिया का तलबगार नहीं हूँ बाजार से गुजरा हूँ खरीदार नहीं हूँ. That I am living and I am traversing through the dunya, but I do not have talab for the dunya. I do not have talab for the dunya. I am walking through the marketplace, but I am not one of the customers. Meaning I do not seek to buy it. And this is really a very high maqam to achieve, that we live here and despite everything that we see around us, the dunya does not control us, but we control. And this is the maqam of the Sahaba Kiram. Ulama have written that their highest miracle was not the fact that they were able to, control fire and earth and air, or they were able to walk over the water with their horses, or they were able to control wild beasts in the forests. They said that the biggest miracle and the biggest thing that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam inculcated in each and every one of them was the fact that Allah Ta'ala opened up the doors of dunya for them, but they were able to just walk all over it. And this really is something we should make dua for. That Allah Ta'ala takes away the love of this kamini, this wretched dunya away from our hearts. We should make that dua in every dua that we make. Okay? So dunya doesn't mean what do we have, because sometimes we don't have anything, but still we yearn for the dunya because that is what the heart is looking for. And sometimes you have everything, but Allahu Akbar Kabira, because the tariq is faqir. You don't have to be a faqir, but you have to have faqiri in the heart. Allama Iqbal said, मेरा तरीक अमीरी नहीं फकीरी है खुद ही ना बेच फकीरी में नाम पैदा. He said, my tariq or my suluk is not amiri, it's not to become an amir, to become a rich person, but it is the faqiri, the concept of faqiri in the heart. Khudina means do not sell your self-identity. Do not sell your identity of being a Muslim. Faqiri mein naam paida kar, that you should be known as a faqir. This is why some of our mashayikh, they chose to call themselves as faqir and ajiz. Regardless of what we call ourselves, it is how we feel inside. It is how the shining of the dunya has an effect on us. That is really what matters. And the easiest way to judge that is, well, when there is a taqaza of dunya in front of us and a taqaza of deen in front of us, which one do we prioritize? Which one are we attracted towards? If we leave, let's say we make the himma and actually do the taqaza of the deen, does that cause us to be sad about losing the dunya, about worrying of the dunya? So all of these states of the heart will allow us to do our own muhasibah and see where we are on this path and how much it is affecting us. One of the great examples that is usually given when we talk about Hubbu Dunya is that of Hazrat Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jailani Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayh. He's one of the greatest sages that this ummah has seen. It is said that one time, and he was a merchant by his he was used to trade. So one time he was sitting in gathering just like we're sitting here today, when somebody rushed into the majlis, into the mahfil, and he said, Hazrat, Hazrat. And Hazrat turned to him and said, what happened? He said, Hazrat, all of your ships that went for trade and commerce, they were returning back, but there was a huge hurricane and it destroyed all of your ships. Everything that you had with its profits, it's gone. Now, the way to think of this story is to put yourself in his shoes. That whatever you have, you're just hitting bankruptcy, your business is gone, your house is gone, everything that you own is basically gone. So how does this Shaykh react? He closes his eyes for a few moments and he opens them back up and he says, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Few moments had passed when another person rushed into the Majlis and he's saying, Hazrat, 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 what happened? Hazrat, there was a huge hurricane and all the ships got destroyed, but all of your ships, Alhamdulillah, made it to shore. Now, subhanallah, this is like hitting the jackpot. Hazrat again closes his eyes and for a few moments he opens them back up and he says, Alhamdulillah. Now, one of his murids, one of his students asked him, Hazrat, why did you do this? When you had such bad news, you said, Alhamdulillah. But when you had good news, you also said, Alhamdulillah. What is going on? Tell us the hikmah behind it. And subhanAllah, look at his answer. He said that when I heard of the bad news, rather than worry about the bad news, I looked inside my heart. Is my heart saddened? Am I anxious by this news? Or is my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala salim? It is same as before. And I found it that Alhamdulillah, my connection, my ta'alluq with Allah, my ruju with Allah, my anawat with Allah was not changed even the times. And over this ni'mat from Allah, because it is a ni'mat from Allah, Allah Ta'ala pulls whomever He wants towards Him. In Tasawwuf, this is called jazb, that somebody gets pulled. You have an opening in your life. The greatest example of which is Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, the greatest enemy of Islam. There was a jazb, there was an opening from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He became one of the greatest Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is jazb from Allah. And so, subhanallah, he says that Alhamdulillah, my heart was unmoved. He said, when I got the good news that Alhamdulillah, everything made back and I hit the jackpot, again I looked inside my heart. Is my heart overly happy over what I have achieved and I have received? He said, no. I was just as razi with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as I was before. And over this ni'mat from Allah, because again, this is an ata from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I said Alhamdulillah. So this is the state of having riza bil qada, that we are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala no matter what. And so as Muslims, we really need to make sure that we are acting more and more like the Sahaba Kiram or Salaf Salihin, especially when it comes to the matter of dunya, nowadays especially. Because we all know of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he mentioned the state of Muslims, which we basically see today. In 2020, this is the state as described in this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a time will come that the Muslims, the nations, they will be so weak that other nations of the dunya, they will invite each other, just like people invite each other on a sufra. Why don't you eat? Why don't you eat? The nations of the world will be inviting each other to do zulm on the Muslims. Meaning everywhere from around the world, this strife, these trials, these tribulations will be happening. And the Sahaba Karam, they were such great Muslims, such courageous people with shuja'ah. They asked, what will happen, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Will we be less in number? Because it makes sense that there are 100 billion other people and maybe there are like 100 of the Muslims. Will we be less in numbers? That you will have kasrat of ta'dad. Quantity-wise, there'll be a lot of you, but you will be like the froth and the foam of the sea. And we've seen it. If you've been to a beach, you see all this froth just lying around and just going with the waves. Wherever the waves go, it goes with it. No direction. It just exists. And Muslims will become like that. And Prophet said that the reason is that they will have wahan in their hearts. They will have wahan in their heart. And the Sahaba Kiram Rizwanullah Ajma'in, they asked Ya Rasulullah, please explain what this means. And he said that it is the attachment with the dunya and having wahsha towards the maut and akhirah. It's having the dunya in the heart, but not having Allah Ta'ala in your heart. Not being Allah-centric, not being Akhirat-centric in our mannerism. And that's exactly what is happening today. Rather than acting like an ummah, subhanAllah, we are each and every one of us, we are just running after little profits here and there, what benefits us as a person, but what does not benefit the ummah, we don't care about that. And so this is a huge difference that the Sahaba Kiram Rizwanullah, and you look at his Ali Rasulullah Ta'ala. He was such a zahid of Allah, and he's the Imam of all the Awliya Kiram. Out of all the Sahaba Kiram, he had the greatest hissa part in the ulum of walayat that Rasulullah gave. But if you look at his life, he lived with nothingness. Most of his life he was under debt, and he would live what called the day to day. He was living day to day. He would go out, he would work, get some money, use some of it on his Ahl Khana, Hazrat Fatima Zuhra radiallahu anha, and then just give everything else in charity. So by the end of the day, there was nothing that he was carrying with him. So if we can't act like that, at least we should start to think like that. We start to think like that. That should be the mentality. That we should feel unattached to the houses that we live in and the cars that we drive and the businesses and jobs that we have. The least we should do is remain unattached to it. Don't use these things as a source of our own identity or feeling good about ourselves. Don't use these things. They are useful to us while we are living our life. That's it. Other than that, they are labels. They don't mean anything. We have to leave everything behind. So this hubbu dunya, this, and again, hubbu dunya, as they say, ra'su kulli khati'atin, it is the root cause of all the issues that we see around us. People waging wars for resources, killing people in millions for resources, for wealth accumulation, and it's ajib. I mean, it's worse than animals. Even animals don't do that. And so it brings out the worst in the human being when we become those people who have this kind of mentality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-hakumut takathur. This is the kathrat that we are running after. But what happens? We are running in this race, hatta zurtumul maqabir, and each of them they'll fall into their grave. Another person will say, no, 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 my anjam, my end will be different. But again, they're running as well, and then they will fall in the midst. Same anjam. We all have to taste death. Nobody's taking their dunya with them. Doesn't matter how many billions they have, or doesn't matter, if they have nothing. We all have the same end. We all have the same end. And so, inshallah, this is the haqiqah of life that we should try to attach ourselves to. And as Prophet ﷺ said, that this dunya is worse than the magic of Harut and Marut, and it really is true because this magic works. It's so deep. Magic works. And subhanallah, we get all worked up, about the new iPhones and new computers and new this, and it's so deep, like children. And we're talking about adults. We get so happy over these things. It just shows that the nafs is in control and that the heart has really not taken over. So we should try to do a thought of this magic of this dunya. There's a hadith that Prophet also mentioned that this dunya is hulu, it's sweet, and it is green. Greenery, it looks beautiful. And people have the sweet tooth, so they want to keep on eating kheer and gulab jamuns. It's the sweet tooth that even if you're not hungry, you just want more of it. People will, alhamdulillah, finish their dinners like, you're full, yes, completely full. Gulab jamun is right in front of you. I can make some room for gulab jamun. So that is the hirs of the dunya as well. We know what we need, but we're always looking for what else we can get and accumulate. So this is the takathur that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And it's a rat race. It's a rat race. It's so ajib that we compete with each other in matters of dunya. It's so ajib. We know we are Muslims, we know it doesn't matter. But still we are, oh, my son went to Falah University. Where did your son? Oh, okay, he went to the. We use this, we utilize these things. We'll say, okay, no, no, I'm not attached. But in our mannerism, in what we look in other people, we are always looking for these things. And so there's some hardcore mujahida that needs to be put in to change this kind of mentality. And inshallah, this is a longer topic, so we'll continue this talk. But one of the ways that a person can try to get rid of the hub of this dunya is infaq fi sabilillah. That we should have the ithar of our heart, that we should try to get in the habit. It's not how much we spend, it's that we are spending. So if you have children, give them or make them have like $1, put them in the sadaqah box every day. You go to the masjid, it doesn't need to be again hundreds, or just take $1 and put it in the so we become or come in the habit of just spending every day. That it's not mine, or it's not something that I will hold dear in my wallet. It's something that has been given as an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will spend it in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nowadays there's so many causes that we can spend in, our Muslims, brothers and sisters around the world, they are in such dire situations, children dying from cold weather in Syria, and if we have the ability to help them in whatever way, if it means like cutting down on our coffee money, we should try to do that. So this is infaq fi sabilillah, that the more we try to come into the habit of spending, and you should, or the best is if you're giving from, if you're giving it directly, because the du'as that you get there and the happiness that you feel inside, that's a good motivation. But even if you can give directly to somebody in need, giving to causes is fine as well. But getting into that habit, and then reminding ourselves, of our akhirah, that we came empty-handed, and we have to leave empty-handed, and whatever we leave, become a source of contention for whoever we leave behind. This is what happens. Children are fighting over who owns what, and they're fighting over who will get which money. And again, it's ajib, because they themselves, one day they have to leave like their parents left without anything. But it's like a vicious circle that we are stuck in, and we have to get ourselves out of it. So may Allah Ta'ala, and inshallah, next time we'll talk about, Hubbe Ja and all of those which are branches of Hubbe Dunya. So may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala allow us to at least start thinking about that which is permanent and let go of that which is temporary. May Allah Ta'ala allow us to have our hearts be Allah centric, be Akhirat centric, rather than be Dunya centric. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala free us from the worries of this dunya. Ameen ya Rabbul Alameen, wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah Ta'ala, for a few minutes, we will do some muraqabah. And the way to do that is to close your eyes and bow your heads in humility and humbleness. For a few seconds, just let go and disassociate yourself from your thoughts. Whatever we are thinking, just step back from that, let go of it. Bring your focus, your attention, your tawajjuh down to your qalb, this part of our ruh, which is 2 fingers below our left chest. Focus on that point. Negate everything in this dunya. Everyone in this dunya, negate them. Na zameen, na asman, na chand, suraj sitare, na insan, na hewan, na shaitan. Affirm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence. Our Rabb, who has all the kamalat, sifat, who is free from all the uyub and naqais. Feel His presence and make intention that tajalliyat and warat, fuyuzat are coming into our qalb. Our qalb is absorbing it. All the filth, all the darkness is fading away. And feel that our qalb is saying, Allah, Allah, Allah. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. سبحان ربي على الوهاب. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مصرف القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه برحمته. तो उसके लिए फिर उनसे भी मशवरा करना चाहिए, लेकिन सिर्फ उन पर रिलाय नहीं करना चाहिए। और जगह पे भी देखते हैं ना कि इंशाल्लाह ताला कोई और इस तरह का मिल जाए तो
जहाँ से
अल्लाह ताला हमारी ज़िंदगी में कोई ऐसा काम हमसे ले ले कि मौत के बाद चलता रहे, सदका जारिया बन जाए इंशाल्लाह ताला। हम तो जिंदा हैं कि दुनिया में तेरा नाम रहे।
पहले हिसाब में न रहे, जाम रहे।
सुभान अल्लाह। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
पर प्राइस वाइज तो मैं ख्याल है यहाँ से ज़रा नॉर्थ जाए तो शायद कीमतें कम हो। इस इलाके में तो बहरहाल कीमतें किताब ज़्यादा ही